What a wonderful world.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to Real. Today, I have the person and the reason why we are sitting on this couch right now, Miss Amanda Baum, the incredible realtor. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so awkward. Guys, I'm not a podcaster. I'm a real estate agent.
You know what? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like you probably shouldn't be both.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. This is not my strong suit.
But you're like a social media queen. Like after my apartment, you posted something and it was really good.
Oh my God, thank you.
On your TikTok.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying with the
Guys,
TikTok
follow her on
thing.
TikTok because
What's my TikTok
your old
handle?
account you never got back, right?
No, that was the weirdest thing ever.
That was messed up.
Messed up. But my TikTok is Amanda Baum _ real estate. So pretty
Easy.
Yeah, pretty
We'll-
easy.
We'll plug at the end, and I'll link all of your stuff at the end too. But okay, I want to first just get into like how you got into real estate. And she's actually really young and extremely successful for how
thank
young
you.
you are, and you're a freaking hustler, and that's like why I wanted to have you on.
Thank you.
And also, I feel like it's so important, like when you're looking for an apartment, to have like a young person's perspective. Like it's just a different vibe when I have someone like you who like gets it and knows what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the reasons why it was so helpful. But take everyone into like how you got started with all of this.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting story, and I didn't realize how many parallels were with it until the other day, actually. So I started working as an intern for Paige DeSorbo, summer like 2019, her second season on Summer House, and I helped her with brand partnerships, deals, running her social media handles, her outfits for the weekend, and she's just like the best human ever. And then she was telling me, like, you're good at figuring out like what aligns well with me. You should get into like influencer marketing. I'm like so not a be in the camera type of person. Like I'm really not. I love being behind the scenes of something and like putting things together to like make a story, make something happen. So then I interned and worked at a few influencer marketing agencies. And I worked with influencers that were like small, pairing them with like brands. This was like before COVID. Then COVID hit. I was still doing that as like an internship while in college. And then my parents were like, it's COVID, we're renting in Florida, we want to find a house. And I had COVID obviously early on. So my parents were like, can you go see houses for us? I basically found their house, and we didn't use an agent. We negotiated and everything on our own. And I just got really into the process and like, boom.
How did you even know how to negotiate? How to like how do you even learn that?
I feel like manipulation and negotiation just comes from, and I feel like manipulation
You're
like
it just comes natural to me.
Well, just like, I don't know, I feel like when you have the parents that I have and like similar background, like you get what you want, and you need to like figure out how to get it. So I just like learned how to get what I want at like a really young age and figure out what like mechanisms, I guess, maneuvers I could do to get it. And I just like don't stop until I get what I want. Like genuinely, like I wanted to work for Paige. I DM'd her multiple times, found her email, found her number somehow, found her on Facebook. Like I literally harassed her until I was like, hire me.
Oh my
And she was like, okay, like you're not stopping until I say yes. So like,
Yeah. And I do think that's how there's like a line between like overstepping, but like I think that's how a lot of people end up being successful, because you have to be a little bit ruthless, especially like in this business. Like you have to be ruthless.
Also like overstep politely. That's what I think it really is. Because like if you just like if you don't continue to follow up, if you like kind of let time pass you by, they'll forget about you. So like be like in their face, make sure they know who you are, overstep, and then do it just in a way that's not like too aggressive.
Yeah.
I think that's what the key is.
That's such a trait of a realtor too. Like I really feel like you have to be any good realtor. You're a little in their face. You're like aggressive. Like you just put yourself out there in like that kind of way. So I feel like it like makes so much sense of how.
Yeah, like I follow up maybe like once every day with whoever I'm working with, even like past clients sometimes. Like I'll just be like, how are you? How are you?
Yeah.
And like I'll always continue conversation because like I don't want to be forgotten about. Or like if they have a friend that's looking for something, like I'm the first person they think of. Same with social media, like constantly posting and putting myself out there because like when you think about real estate, like you think about me.
Yeah.
And like it's like a trigger.
Yeah.
To that. Yeah, that's how I got into real estate.
So when it came to then, I always like to do this with everyone I have on, like, how did we meet?
Oh.
Do you remember how we first met?
Yes. Well, I remember I reached out to you, I think like a while ago, like before like you ever thought about like
moving.
Yeah.
Because I was, okay, so from my side, I was like posting about how I just wanted to tour apartments for funsies.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think it was that. And I was like, yeah, come with me.
Yeah.
Like if you ever want to just like venture.
And so we literally, I think, got on a call like about that. And then my manager was like, you probably should like pick a lane, like figure out why, which I still, by the way, like I still really like doing that stuff and like want to do that stuff. Like,
wait, I think it's so like that's the best part of my job, just seeing what's beautiful apartments, even like gross apartments, and like seeing their price points and like comparing the two.
It is so interesting to me. I mean, I'm like an architectural digest like freak, and like I just love, I'm on Zillow every day, like I just love it. So that's originally like I posted a TikTok being like, I just want to look at apartments.
And my friend Emily sent it to me and I was like, oh, okay, I'll reach out to her.
So you reached out to me, and then how did we get reconnected from when I was moving? Did I reach out to you?
You posted something, because then we started following each other, and you posted something about the mice.
Oh.
And I was like, if you need me, like, you can reach out to me. Like, I got you. Like, that's a really tricky situation. And then October 7th happened.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I need to get out. And I was like, I got you.
So essentially what happened, and like, I don't think I've ever really talked about this that much on the podcast, but I was posting like after October 7th, like I have a very dear friend of mine that lives in Israel, and after it happened, like it was obviously like really upsetting and terrible, and so I was posting, I was really upset, and just also posting about like anti-Semitism and just things in general of that sort. And my mom started getting Facebook messages of people saying that like they knew where I lived and that they were going to find where she lived, and then I was getting DMs saying they were going to come kill me and like all this stuff, and to like
sorry, it's not laughing.
No, it's like literally it's like, what else do you do?
It's so scary, but it's also so real.
Yeah, like it was but it was crazy, and like people were like, oh my god, like you're afraid, like you're like a like little privileged,
like you didn't have
bitch.
Security.
And that was the thing though, I was afraid because I'm on social media, I have like an online whatever presence, and so I was like, okay, I actually need to break my lease, like I actually need to get out. And so okay, now I want to get into how we went about that process. I put her on a time crunch. Like I was like, I want to get out of here tomorrow if possible, and I had a lot of things that I wanted.
That's really everyone though. Like don't even like say it was such like a time crunch, because every client I have, even if they reach out to me for something in June, like they're on a time crunch. So like that's like, that has like nothing to do with it. It's just like, let's start now, or like let's start preparing to like start whatever inventory comes out like during your move-in date.
And also, do you remember like we were looking and then we kind of stopped, right? Or what happened?
No, I think I was sending you apartments and I was like, we can tour these if you want. Like because a lot of my clients are from out of state. So I go see like today I'm going to see 2 apartments for someone that lives in DC.
Right.
So it's like, I'm going to see those, and if like you wanted to come just to see them,
right,
like you can come with me to view them. It's all virtual for them.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we were first messaging about. And then I think honestly you kind of like, not like ghost me, you were just like, I don't need to like do this. Yeah. And then you were like, I need to get out of my apartment. I was sending you apartments as soon as possible, and we did literally like 2 days of like 10 showings.
10 showings.
Yeah.
So, okay, take everyone through your mindset when it comes to, you have a client, they tell you what you want, like where do you even begin? Like especially when it comes to like price points, how you're actually finding those apartments. And I feel like key for me in the past has been things that might not be on the market yet that I can go see ASAP. Yeah. So how do you go about
Everyone's different, but the first thing I do with absolutely anyone that wants to work with me is get on a call, because I also think it's super important. Like how you kind of said, like you want like an agent that one is going to vouch for you and two like understands you. And if we're not clicking, I'm not the agent for you. Like I always say, like I push myself to work with everyone, but I don't fit everyone's bubble.
Yeah.
Like I don't. So I really try to work with clients that understand me, I understand them, because it's all about trust. Like my opinion, like you're supposed to trust and take that in to then take that next step to give thousands of dollars to this management company and me. Like you should be able to trust my opinion. So I always say like, let's get on a call. Let's talk about like your price point, where you want to be. Let's get realistic about it, because that's New York City for you. Like let's be transparent and realistic about the market and what you can actually get for your price point. And then from there, like making a building, that's what I do. I make like a building list for whatever you're looking for. So if it's like Chelsea 1 bedrooms at 5,000, like going through all the buildings that have like a price point of like 4,000 to 5,000. And then figuring out what you like and just trying to see all those buildings as soon as we can. And if there's nothing on the market in that building, then me reaching out to them to see if we could just see any type of unit in the building to get an idea of like if you like that building or not.
Yeah. Do you ever work with someone, and I feel like this kind of happened to me a little bit too, but where you start out like they want one thing and it completely
all the time
pivots? So how do you go about that? Like when you and
that's why I love my job. No day or no person or no deal, nothing is exactly the same. Like even if it was someone that had the same credentials as you, like same like wants and needs, it's a whole different process because it's all different financials. It's a different person. Like every person has different opinions and what they like, what they don't like. And also they always have different applications. So even if it's for like this building, their application can be so different than yours.
Do you remember, and I want to get into this because I know everyone else is so curious about, like I'm not going to share where I live, but I want to share about the things that I said that were my priorities and kind of like what we talked about in the beginning and how we found that. So do you remember what I said?
Yeah, you said you obviously wanted doorman. You wanted to be downtown. You wanted an open kitchen because you didn't have that last time. And you wanted natural light or a view.
Yeah.
I remember those were like your tops. And then
like
I think you wanted like
modern.
a lot of square foot. Yeah, you said modern, but I think you also said you wanted like a lot of square footage because your old apartment, like surprisingly
was huge.
Literally was huge.
Yeah. So it was, and I did not think I was going to find a huge apartment like the one.
Oh no, like I knew you were. Like I also like, the whole thing
I was shook.
No, but also like that's my job too. Like I have people that get on the phone and it's so sad to even say this, but they'll be like, $3,000. I want the West Village, doorman, this, that, and I'm like, let's bring you down to earth for a second, sweetie. Like you can't get that. And like I'm realistic with you about like what you can get and what you can't. And honestly, your budget was on point with what you wanted.
Okay.
And that's why we got to see so many options. But like even today I was on a call with someone and I'm like, listen, let's be open to other locations. Let's be open to maybe no doorman or getting rid of like this square footage amount, because like if you want to stick to your price, like you gotta figure that out.
Right.
And when it pivots too, like I have so many people that are like, I'm looking for a studio, and then they'll be like, now I want to live with 2 friends.
Yeah.
You know, like that happens all the time. And it's fine. It's just like you change your search around. Your price changes anyways because of that.
Right.
And you just figure out what's like on the market or off the market to show them.
I feel like though you usually work with, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, work with like one individual or like a couple. Like I feel like usually you're not working with like multiple roommates.
Yes and no. Like I do actually work with a lot of roommates, but now I think my business has like switched over a little bit. That like the people that like just graduated from college, if they are reaching out to me, it's because like their mom knows my mom or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of more of a favor, which I love helping with. But now my clientele really has gotten like, okay, I saw you on social media. I'm looking for a studio. I'm looking for a 1 bed. I'm moving from blank state to New York. And like, I definitely need you as my realtor.
Yeah.
That's what like it switched to. But in the beginning it was very roommate oriented.
Scooch over like a tad. Yeah. Okay. So getting into how you choose your trade-offs. And so the thing that I obviously loved about having you as my realtor was that you were very vocal about like your opinion. Like I would always be like, what would you do?
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to me because I'm like, you're the professional. So if you were in my shoes, like, what would you do?
And so funny, most people do not want my opinion.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah, like so funny, all the guys I work with never want my opinion. All the girls I always work with are like, please tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But the guys are like, no. Like, I want this. And like, I don't really, like, I'm not really going to listen to what you have to say.
I mean, and there are parts of it that like.
It's so funny.
When I saw this apartment, you're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Like making sure it's the one. And obviously I just knew it was just a feeling.
I was going to say, it's really a gut feeling you. And also, my job is like not push you. Like it's a lot of money. You're putting down first month's rent, security, a broker fee.
Right.
And sometimes a board fee if it's a condo or a co-op. So like that is like thousands of dollars. Like you need to make sure you love what you're choosing. And it's not my job to choose it for you.
Yeah.
And not my job to push you to do it either.
Right.
And the agents that do that just want your money.
And that's the thing. It's like you have to find someone. And I don't know if you have any like advice on this, like, but you've been around obviously other people in the industry. Like, how do you scout out someone that's like, how do you know who's just trying?
You could just tell from an agent's like demeanor. Like when they're a listing agent and it's a $2,000 rental and they're charging a 15% and they're not even asking the landlord if they can cover their fee, like they're scums.
Yeah.
Like what, like that you're paying so much money for something that's so much less than your rent. And there's so many agents out there too that like will just push you to see or like take like the first apartment. And it's like they don't want to put in the work, they just want the money.
Right.
Like I always say, like my number one thing is, and it's really the truth of it, and like I feel like you saw it with me too, is that like I am not in it for the money, I'm there for the long relationships.
100%.
Like the client relationships is what has gotten me so many referrals and like opportunities like this. Like if I was just in it for the money, I would have taken your money and probably not talked.
Right.
Like, you know, like
it's true.
It's just like not how I run things. And that's how a lot of these, especially rental agents, do that. Like I don't want to be a rental agent forever. All these guys or girls that are just rental agents, like they just want quick cash.
Yeah. Which is, it can be. And that's fine for temporary, but I do appreciate the long relationship. And I also think it has a lot to do with you being passionate about your job.
Yeah. And also, like, I feel like that goes for anything. Like, the same with, like, what you do.
Yeah.
You have to love what you do or you're not going to be good at it. And people also are going to see right through
They
you.
see through it. 100%.
Yeah.
So with your personal, like, because obviously I cared about, like, what you had to say when it comes to your personal trade-offs, like, what are the things you personally prioritized when you were looking for your own apartment? And, like, even when you're giving advice to a client and they're like, what should I have at the top of my list? What do you think is important?
I always say, especially with what New York is now, security and safety is the number one thing. Like it really is. Like, to be honest with you, I love the West Village. I love the East Village. I love being downtown, but I just don't see the hype of it without having like a doorman. Like my friends that live in like really nice walk-ups, like they don't order clothes to their apartment.
Yeah.
They're like, it's going to get stolen. Or they have to like send it to like a P.O. box.
Right.
And that's so inconvenient. Like, I need my Revolve dress to, like, be at my front door.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
Like,
if you do.
Yeah. And safety and security is definitely my number one thing. And even when I'm talking to clients in the beginning, I'm like, you're not looking in this location because, like, I'm not going there. Like, I'm a young girl in my 20s. But I don't feel comfortable going there when it's dark out or going there early in the morning.
Yes.
Like, you're not seeing the apartment.
Right.
Because I'm not taking you there. Like, I'm not going. So safety and security. And I also would say, like, I guess light. Like, even if you're, like, even with yours, like, you're not facing, like, a gorgeous view, but you have, like, nice light. And I feel like when you're in a dark apartment, even if it's gorgeous on the inside, it's just sad.
Yeah, my last apartment was kind of sad for that
it's
reason.
just, like, a little sad.
Yeah.
And it's just not, those are, like, the two things I prioritize the most. But, like, when every client's so different, like, I have people that are like, I need square footage. So, like, I always say to them, okay, so then maybe your trade-off is amenities. Or, like, maybe your trade-off is, like, a beautiful kitchen. Maybe your trade-off is, like, not having a lot of closet space because you need just, like, the land.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, that was another huge thing with us, too. We were like, how many closets can we find? And
literally.
We were literally, like, we would search for, we
and
would
New
go
York
in an
City
apartment.
doesn't know how to build, like, women
No.
like they don't know how to build out apartments like for women.
Yeah, like the spaces are so wasted half the time.
So wasted. And like same with the bathrooms too. Like no one realizes it, but like there's no storage in your bathroom. Like those medicine cabinets maybe fit like 3 bottles.
Crazy. But I remember, it's so funny. I remember being in an apartment with you, one of the apartments, or maybe this happened multiple times, and you're like, we need to see another one in this building. There's got to be one with more closet space.
Well, that was like
This
my
is not
problem
gonna
with
cut
looking
it.
for an apartment. Like, I moved in with my boyfriend, and I was like, I need closets. Like, I need storage. Like, that's the only thing. And we just couldn't find anything in our budget with it. So now I have 2 storage units.
Sometimes
Literally packed to the brim.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Even like in this building, there's storage downstairs. So I'm like, maybe that's what I need to do.
No, but you've so many closets.
I have so many closets, but with my job, like you just get so much shit.
Yeah.
You need more places to like put stuff.
Yeah. But that was like my number one thing. I wanted doorman for myself, and I wanted closets and just like a space that's like a 1-bedroom that really fits 2.
Yeah.
Especially because like he's like 6'3" and
Yeah.
like huge. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I need a big apartment for us. But it was tough. Like we also were in a really bad market when we were looking, so we didn't have a lot of options.
Yeah. When did you guys move?
We moved in September, which is really tough.
Yeah.
But I negotiated to have our lease now end of October. So now we're on a better lease term. So hopefully if we re-sign, it's less expensive. Like it won't go up as much, I mean, in renewal price. Or if we start looking, we'll find better things in our price range that are like bigger or just not as expensive.
So let's talk about, speaking of that, rent prices for like time of year.
Yeah.
How do you know, like, if you
we
do have
don't.
the flex? Okay.
Oh, we don't. Because I fully thought the market was going down, like right before.
I think everyone kind of did.
Yeah,
right?
like when you were looking, I was like, the market's starting to like even out really for price per square foot. Nope. Like end of January, the market just decided to say like F you to everyone. And like, I'm finding 1-bedrooms for people that are like close to $7,000 or like studios that are like $5,000. Like it's really not okay right now, especially in like obviously the prime locations of Manhattan, but even the like not so like prime locations, like they're still super high.
Yeah.
Like really, really high. So we can't like see what prices are going to be, but my job is to do as much searching as possible so you have as many options and then try to negotiate.
Right. So you really can't, like, is there a time of year? I know people are always like, oh, so many people look in the spring, like the spring market. But like is there a time of year that is like an ideal time to look?
In my opinion, the best time of year to look is Halloween to basically right after New Year's.
Okay, interesting.
Because it's holiday season, no one's really in the city. And just like there's a lot of buildings that do broker OPs, so they'll pay the brokers instead of the tenants paying the brokers.
Huge question from everyone. I feel like this was the main thing that everyone wanted to know, like location. What is the best? And I know there was a couple different questions depending on like age range because certain people want to live in certain places.
I'll tell you my top 3 locations.
Yeah, I want to know your favorite locations in general.
And they always change, but like
that's normal.
But like honestly, for the last few months, my main location that I just like am obsessed with, I need to live there, I need to own there, is Tribeca. I just love that it's like a town more than a village in a sense. So, but it has like amazing restaurants. It has the West Side Highway. You're close enough to the West Village, but you're also like kind of close to like I love being by commercial spots. Like no one likes that, I think, except for me. But I like need my CVS right there. I need my Dwayne Reed on the other side for my other medication, and I need like
all the
Whole
options,
Foods, like Trader Joe's and Fairway, like right outside.
Well, I never had that. When I was in West Village, it's obviously not commercial at all. Everything is very local. And I never realized how amazing it is to have commercial until I moved where I live now.
I always tell people that are moving from like out of state to New York, like you need to be by commercial spots, like trust me. And they're like, why? I want the East Village, I want the West Village, like I want to feel that. I'm like, trust me, it's such a big move. Like you need your like spots that you know of, like next door to you. And like it just makes everything more comfortable. So I put a lot of people in Chelsea because I feel like it's a good in between to like being in the West Village and like having like the commercial spots, but also like great restaurants, all of that. every single person's like, I love you for that. That was amazing. Like,
I think Chelsea is super popular. The one thing that I will say personally, and this, you don't have to respond to this, or you can, I don't know what you can say. I sometimes feel like certain areas of Chelsea can get a little seedy.
I think that's everywhere in the city though, low key. Like, it really is. Like,
You're right.
I last year at my old team, I would help my lead agent with listings on Billionaires Row. Like, Billionaires Row. And there'd be a guy taking a shit on the street. I'm not even exaggerating. I literally was helping her show his apartment. It was like my first time like showing this mega apartment. And like there's a guy taking a shit on the street. And I'm like, welcome to New York.
Yeah, you're like, this is great. We love it here.
Like, it's just how it is.
Yeah, that is true.
But like, yes, like I always say, like, New York is 14 square miles from the top to the bottom. So like, every street is so different.
It's true.
Like, you could be on like 25th and 6th and then go to 24th and 6th, and it's literally a whole different vibe. So like, yeah, like I feel like every area is nice but seedy because it's just like such a mix of people.
Yeah, it's true. Even, anywhere you go, I feel like you'll see the piles of garbage.
And that's why I always say, like, security is the number one thing because no matter where you are, you can be still on the Upper East Side, but like you can get your packages stolen, you can get seedy people around you, and like you want to at least feel like your home is like your safe, security, like comfort place.
So what about the other locations? So Tribeca is your top.
Right, yeah, like Tribeca I just love, and I have been doing a lot of listings over there, and I just love being there. I also love Flatiron, and I also love the Upper East Side, but like Lenox Hill, like not too up. But I'm like saying to Jared, like I would move to Lenox Hill. Like I definitely don't want a baby or get married like in a month, but like it's amazing up there.
It's very cute there, and I feel like it's very quaint. Like it gives more neighborhood. It gives more family.
Also, the buildings there are so nice. You get such good square footage for like your buck there. You're by the park. Like it's just like a nice area. And like I just have never been, and I've subletted in the West Village before. Like I've just never been that person that like has that obsession with it. Never.
I do, but I will say the dream for me. But I don't know because I'm changing. I'm definitely changing after.
Also, like the West Village changing
there
a little bit. Like people say like Murray Hill is like very young and out of college, but I think like
West Village
I think that's becoming that too, which I think is fine. And also I always say this, like if you're out of college or you've been in the city for like 18 years, like your neighbor could still be the same. You know what I mean? Like everyone's kind of everywhere in the city. But I just feel like it's becoming very, very young.
It's like, how are these people right out of college affording West Village? Like that was a fever dream.
Daddy's money.
Yeah, like because
Daddy's money.
That was a dream for me, but that was not like a reality at all. Like I feel like I was like, oh, I did not know that I would even be able to afford West Village on my own. Like
right
after
now
a couple
you can.
years.
No one can.
That's why I had to move out. By the way, I could not afford a doorman and a 1-bedroom apartment. It was not happening.
I was just helping a girl, and her budget was like, I think it was like $5,000, and we were looking at like West Village doorman buildings, and they were like asking literally $6,000 for a studio.
That's crazy.
And I'm like
$6,000.
And I literally looked at her and I'm like, you can't live here. And she's like, why? Like it has everything. I'm gonna ask like daddy to like bump up the budget. And I'm like, I like as like a human being like can't allow you to spend this money. And she's like, why? You'd get better commission. And I'm like, I like can't deal with like the just like the mindset of it. It's just too messed up for me.
No.
And it's also so fucked up with my job. I can curse on here, right?
Obviously.
Okay. I always like get nervous, but it's just the truth of it. Like I think it's beyond fucked up that I even have to say to people with $2,000 budgets, like you're not getting anything in New York.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's really sad. Like it actually always makes me like tear up in conversation. Yeah, that's horrible. Like
I know.
That's a lot of money per month you're putting towards something, and you literally can't even afford like a shoebox. Like the shoeboxes go for $35. Like
literally,
like,
it's crazy. It is crazy. So what do you say? Like a person comes in with like a $2,000 budget. What are you saying to them? Where are they going?
Like, I just ask them, you know, sounds awkward, but like, do you have like any financials to back you up to like help you get your budget higher? Or like, do you have any friends you can move in with? Anything. Like it's really sad, and it always makes me super upset, and they always like thank me on the phone for being so real with them about it, because like, you know, you'll have these agents that are like, yeah, I can get you this, and this
Right,
for
and
$1,000 a month. But then what are they sending you? I'm like, I'm going to be real with you from the beginning because like I'm going to have to send you options and actually work with you.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to be able to send you that.
what about like outside of Manhattan?
I do apartments in Brooklyn. I don't even think it's that much cheaper though anymore.
I know. I was gonna say Brooklyn's still expensive as shit. And
like
I feel
the
like it's
places
really
you want to be in
lately.
Brooklyn, it's sorry if I hiccup, is the same amount as downtown here. Like it really is. It's not that different.
Yeah, it's more. I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong. When you move to Brooklyn, it's not as much like the price point. It's more like the neighborhood vibe and like
Yeah, and you get definitely more space. But it's like you're paying the same amount. It's like you might as well be in Manhattan. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I love Brooklyn, but I just think being in New York City, like you're in New York City.
Yeah. I guess it depends what the person wants. And also you have to be willing to, it's like the transportation going across, like you just have to allocate.
I hate going there. I'm going to be so real with you. I love like when it's a full day in Brooklyn and I have like a couple of clients and like I'm there all day. But when it's like I have one or two and I'm running back and forth from Brooklyn to the city, it is so annoying for me. I love going out to Brooklyn. I love Clinton Hill, love Williamsburg, love Cobble Hill, love Carroll Gardens, all those areas.
So many great like neighborhoods, I feel like, and great other option, I feel like too, if you're moving in with a significant other. Like if you kind of just want to get out of the city.
Yeah, if you don't want to feel so claustrophobic. It's definitely a city that's not as claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like
and I actually have my like best friend wants to like move to Brooklyn.
I'm like not against Brooklyn.
I'm like, you might have to help her.
wait. I 100%. I also don't say no. Like I'll help out everyone, but it's just like those days where it's like, think about it. I'm on the west side doing all this, and then and then I have to like run there, and then I might have a random showing on the Upper East Side, or like in like it's just so.
You would rather
it's
make
like
an
extra. Yeah, it's just an extra 30-40 minutes of my time that could be on something else.
Yeah,
getting put towards like training to there.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
With the people that are just moving to Manhattan, like coming out of college, this is like the most common question. Like where do we go? Like where do we go that like is budget friendly, is young, is hip, is cool?
It is Murray Hill. Murray Hill, you really do get a great apartments with great security, great amenities at great prices, and they all flex. And like if people don't know what a flex is, it's basically like a fake wall. Yeah. It's so funny because like my friends in Chicago are like, what is a flex
and we're
wall?
like, don't worry, we have plenty of experience with this. We've all done it.
And yeah, my first apartment had a flex wall in it.
Yeah, me
and
too.
And it's just like a makeshift wall basically to add another bedroom to your space. And so if you're looking for two people, but you can only have a budget that like is kind of a one bed, you just flex a one bed into a two bed. And your living room is like still a decent sized living room because there's such big spaces for good prices. And also it's great for like, if you're moving like from out of college and you want to be with like 4 friends, like it's just such a good area to be in because the buildings really fit you well. And also it's really central to everything. Yeah. It's really the middle of the city. So you can get uptown, west, Brooklyn, downtown, like super easily.
I was a Murray Hill girl. I loved it. I still have great things
I was a Kips Bay girl.
You know what? And one and the same to me.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, they're like one and the same.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. I was a View 34 girly. If you guys don't know, like it's just like
I was a Park East girly. Okay. If you know, you know.
Can you name some of the like your fave buildings over there?
Yeah, honestly, my friends that all lived in Lawrence Towers, I loved how they flexed their apartments. Yeah. Because they would flex the dining room as the third bedroom or like the second bedroom. So like they had a full blown living room. Like pre-games were great. Like they had balconies. Like it was amazing. Same with Windsor Court.
Windsor Court's a huge
great
one.
2 great setups. Really expensive though, honestly. Yes. In my opinion, those are the 2 most expensive ones.
Windsor Court, which by the way, such a top in Murray Hill. Like everyone goes there in Murray Hill. It's really, really popular. But my thing was I wanted a little more modern, and it's old. Like there's the carpet on the lobby ground, like it's definitely older, and like the parquet floors, which you know I hate.
Oh my god, I hate them too. Also another building I love in Murray Hill is oh my god, I'm blanking right now. Windsor Court, Lawrence Towers, and
Park East was Kips Bay, and
yeah,
then
no.
Kips Bay Court.
Biltmore
Biltmore
Plaza.
Plaza.
Yeah.
Which is literally next door to.
It's on like 29th and 3rd, I think.
Yeah. It's
And
next
like
door
I have friends
to.
that live in there now. Like I'm turning 25.
I
like,
got my
it's not
Keratin
weird
next door to there.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that building. I've put people in there before and they're just really nice finishes. Really great setups for flex, and they're really affordable. And it's like a white glove building also,
yes.
like, which is also crazy just to have in general. Like I feel like that gives so like Park Avenue, Madison have like
it does
rich, but like it's a really nice building, and I just like the way the apartments are flexed in there.
Yeah. It's super nice. And what would be your second choice if someone was like, I'm absolutely not moving to Murray Hill, but they like.
Yeah, I would honestly say like Chelsea Nomad too, because there are buildings that are flexible, and it's also central. And I just love the neighborhood. Like I really do. Like I love Chelsea Nomad. I feel like you have your commercial spots. You're right by the trains. You have really cool restaurants. And the buildings are definitely more expensive than Murray Hill.
Right.
But you get great space for your dollar too, depending on like how many people you're living with.
And Nomad kind of started becoming more up and coming when I moved here. I feel like it wasn't a thing yet, but then maybe 1 or 2 years after, or maybe like
I feel
post-pandemic.
like year after COVID, people started to move there because they didn't want to be in Murray Hill anymore because like it had that stigma.
Right,
You know, like I don't really get the stigma of it, honestly.
I don't either because I loved it, and it's just because people talk about it like that. That's why it just gets like a rap.
I don't know. Like I honestly would move back there if I found a really great spot that's like affordable. But Nomad, like I feel like it really started picking up this past summer. Like I had so many people that were like, I want to be a Nomad.
Yeah, modern buildings, really like full amenity.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Also low key, and it's people are like, I never want to live here, but like I actually really love it for when you first move to the city out of college is FiDi.
Okay, yeah.
And I actually subletted in FiDi a few summers ago, and you're by every single train because every train stops on the Wall Street or on the Broad Street station. So like every train stops there. You can get on any train you need to. And the buildings are so beautiful.
The buildings are insane.
And the space is so nice. It is really industrial, but like I just like the area. I don't hate it.
Okay, I want to get into some of the A, listener questions, and B, just the most common questions that we got. So these are just going to be random out of order, but just things that like you can give your knowledge to.
Yeah.
So how much, we kind of talked about this, but how much before your lease is up should you start looking?
Anytime before. I never agree with the people that say like look 2 to 3 weeks before your lease is up. Like you usually have to give your building 90 to 30 days before you have to move out anyways. And when they give you that renewal, that's when you should really reach out to someone if you are working with an agent and work with an agent. I know you don't want to pay the broker fee, but it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
So like, and there's so many just ways you can prep. So then when you're actually looking, it's not stressful. Like I feel like we got your documents basically all together before you started really looking.
Yeah.
And you like kind of knew what you wanted. So like it wasn't stressful. Like I feel like were you stressed?
Not at all.
Yeah. Like
but you also did everything.
Yeah. Like I was
like,
gonna say,
and I
that's,
would
like,
like
my job.
literally, I would like it would be like 10 o'clock at night, and I'd be just like, a thought would pop into my head about something, and then I would just send you an essay about it.
Yeah. And I'd be like, okay.
I'd be like, okay, like, here's an apartment. We're doing this tomorrow. Like, whatever.
Yeah, like, what was the question again? It was how long to prepare?
Yeah.
It's really just like any time you feel like is right. I have people that reach out to me for like next October. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, it's definitely soon, but like if you know what areas you want, like we'll start putting the building list together. We'll go through if there's apartments that we can see ahead of time. And like I closed someone last week that was a June 1st move-in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is there a benefit to looking earlier if you like know you want a certain apartment building?
Yes and no. Sometimes it's just luck. Like I'm not like a magician. I can't like have inventory like come out of my ass.
Right.
But, like I can. And also when you're working with an agent that has a good reputation like I do, like thankfully I could say that like buildings will reach out to me and be like, I have things coming up. If you want to take someone to see like these units that aren't the exact unit, let me know. And like when it comes out, they can just apply now and take it.
Yeah, like things like that where it's like, let's say I really knew about a few apartment buildings. There was nothing available though. Like, is it worth is there a way to like put yourself on a wait list, or like is there
those wait lists literally are fake. Like when they say to
Really?
you like you're on the wait list, like it's fake.
really?
Yeah,
Because
because,
I've
like-
heard about this at a specific building I'm thinking of.
Is it the one in Murray Hill? Because
No, it's the 300 Mercer or 600
yes,
Mercer.
okay, so 300 Mercer, yes, they do have
Like
that
a wait list.
and it happens sometimes. But I'm actually like I've done deals in there. I know the listing agents,
Mm-hmm.
and they just like text me if something possibly comes up.
That's
So
interesting.
like even if you're on the wait list, like maybe it's too high in price because they don't know their pricing yet.
right.
So they could be saying to you like, oh yeah, if you're a $6,000 budget,
Mm-hmm.
for example, like you might be able to get this, but then they're pricing things for like $7,000. And so
Interesting.
then like you're off the wait list because you can't afford that.
Right. So it's worth looking, but you can't really
There's just like as much you could like do everything you can to prepare so then it's not stressful. That's
Right. Mm-hmm.
what really like the magic is because I also feel like whenever you're stressed, especially looking for something that's like so important to you, like you just screw up.
yeah.
Like you do. Like you
Yeah.
make really rational decisions and you're unorganized and you're chaotic and like just reach out as soon as you can so you can feel like as the most comfortable in your decisions as possible.
What like do you need to have prepared? And
Document
also-
wise.
Yeah, say
like
that first. Yeah.
Documents, you need 2 most recent bank statements, sometimes 3 for checkings and savings, photo ID, tax returns at least the last 2 years, 3 to 4 pay stubs, most recent pay stubs, and employment verification.
Okay.
Like wherever you're employed, like your salary, all of that, you should always send in. And then if you're using a guarantor,
That was my
they
next
send
question.
in the exact same stuff, but they have to show 80 times the rent.
Right.
You have to show 40
40,
times. Yeah. And every building's different though. They might ask you for like your social security card. Like I've gotten like crazy
Interesting.
asks. Yeah.
What about if you don't have a guarantor, but you don't have the
There's
rent to show?
There's third party guarantors you can use, like websites that basically are as if it's insurance. You just have to pay for them
Right.
to use them, which is annoying because it's another added on cost.
Mm-hmm.
But for people
you
that are
need
like
to do it.
international, like they always do that and it always works.
Right. Or
Yeah.
someone that like
Or someone that
they're
just, like,
making
yeah,
a lot of money all of a sudden, but they don't have like a parent to like
Yeah. Yeah.
put
And
the
it's
money.
a lot 40 times the rent. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot
Yeah,
to
it
show
is.
it.
It
So yeah. And also like in our case too, like we could be making that money, but like we have weird pay stubs to
Right.
show or like weird tax returns because
Right.
we're commission based.
Yeah.
So like I still use like my dad as a guarantor because it just like is an easier process. Like sometimes
Yeah.
it's just easier to go through it
right
that way.
right, because if they have a more consistent like
Exactly.
payment
Yeah.
whatever schedule, is there a way to avoid rent raises, or is there a way to
No. Like dead ass no. Like it's just New York. We have to deal with it. It's the best city in the world. If you want to live here, you need to know that you're spending an arm and a leg to be here.
what about
Like you can negotiate. Like
what about what we did like with mine?
Yes, but in your case, which I did the same for me too, we actually are paying more money for just a better lease situation.
Correct.
And I did the same exact thing as you. Like I told them like I'll pay you more, so I get
Yeah.
a longer lease, so then
Yeah.
I'm out of like the September like hole of a
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But that's why like you use an agent because you can negotiate in all different ways. Like now
Right.
now you're here for 2 years and you don't need to worry.
Exactly. So how did you like how do people know to like do that? Like
They don't. That's why they got to work with someone.
yeah,
like
yeah.
not to like
'Cause
toot
I
my own
would've-
horn.
No,
but,
I would
like,
have never
Also, when I-
known to do that.
Also, I always feel like this when you're looking for yourself, it's too emotional and low key. Like finding your apartment is like a business transaction.
Yeah.
It's like it cannot be emotional. Like you
Yeah.
need someone to kind of be like, all right, like here's the way you're thinking, but there's 3 other ways that you're not thinking of.
Right.
Because 1, you don't have the knowledge. Like you don't do this for a living.
Yeah.
2, like you're just so emotionally invested. You're not thinking about that. Same thing when you're like walking through an apartment and I kept asking all those questions and you're like, I did not even think
Yeah.
about that.
No.
Like when I asked about, I remember in one place you were like,
it was
oh my
it
God.
was you going in every apartment, making sure there was an ice maker, and me not realizing how fucking vital it was that I had an ice maker.
Well, I'm also like, I'm obsessed.
No, like
I need an ice maker.
What
to
did I
survive.
do for the last like year and a half
like,
of my life?
oh no, I remember what I asked. I asked where trash goes. And you were like, oh my gosh, like, how did you think it's like, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about like where your furniture is going, how
Yeah.
you're going to kind of live here. Like I'm thinking like, okay, how much are you paying extra on utilities?
Right.
Where does the trash go? How many managers are in the building? How many porters are there? Like things that like, you don't even know what it
Literally.
is.
And also I have this thing where like once I step into an apartment, this happens to me every time I see an apartment, everything goes out of my brain. Like the second they're like, what questions do you have? I'm like, fuck. Like,
Yeah, because you're emotionally invested. And like same with negotiations
what do I
too,
feel
though.
here? And like, I don't know. Like it's just, you want to think of those things, but at the same time, you're trying to see like, do I see myself here? What's the difference between, and I asked you this before too, because I had no fucking clue, rent controlled and rent stabilized.
So rent controlled versus rent stabilized is rent controlled isn't based on the unit. It's kind of based on the person living in the apartment. So if it was before, I think it's like 1950s or something, and you're living in this apartment and you're still there, you're rent controlled. Like your rent stays exactly the same because you've been there for you've been there for a certain amount of time. Or it's like it could be a new building that got redone, but like this guy is renting it for like 50 something years.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And then rent stabilized is based on basically the building and the unit. And that's more like, okay, like your last apartment is rent stabilized. It can only go up a certain like a certain percentage each and every year. It can't go higher than that. Yeah, but what I do is I try to negotiate for people rent stabilization increases for like condos, things like that too.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Like basically when, say you want to be in a place for 2 years or more than that. When you're negotiating rent price and you want to know what you're going to be paying the next year and the next year, I say to like my client, okay, let's go this much under rent, but say we want to live here for that many years and give them the percentage that's rent stabilized percentage.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So you're staying in this apartment for like 5 years and you know exactly what your percentage is going to go up.
Interesting. And then this was a big thing that we talked about when I was looking. Rentals versus condos and like what the pros and cons are, like why you would want to.
In my opinion, the only con of a condo is that the upfront fees are disgusting.
Okay.
That is the only con. It is so great to rent in a condo because for many things, but one of them is when you're in a rental building, the building is built like exactly the same on basically every single floor. So every apartment is really cookie cutter and they're all pretty small. Like that's why I love this building because it's condo finishes almost.
It is,
but most of the rental buildings
the kitchen,
aren't.
it feels like a condo.
Yeah, and like you have a lot of closets, you have a lot of space. Like it's a really good building for a reason. But these condos have great square footage. They're also run by a landlord, like an owner. So it's not like a management company where like they're gonna try to like penny pick you for everything. Like this guy or girl, like it's their home. You know, like they want to make sure it's being well taken care of. Really, the only thing that's annoying about it is you have to go through a board. You have to get approved. It's a lot more application information needed and a lot more fees to get it. But you can negotiate rent price, lease length, everything, and you're in a better apartment almost.
So you can definitely negotiate condo. Can you not negotiate rent price?
I've negotiated rental buildings. You mean rental buildings?
Yeah.
That's what I did for you. I negotiated in this rental building and like a few others also. I think it really depends on like the relationship you have with the leasing managers. Like, for example, when I reach out to like a building by me, they're like, oh, you come here every single weekend with a new person. Like, we know we can do you this favor because you're gonna bring in someone else.
Right.
So like I have good relationships with them, but the issue with rental buildings, why they don't really negotiate is because they're like following like a bank who's behind them.
Okay.
Like, you know, like they have to make a certain amount of money a year. So like say there's a lot of open apartments, but they're all priced really high. It's like they have to price it high and they can't negotiate it because whoever's the company backing them like needs to make their money. So that's why it's harder to negotiate in those types of buildings.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Now I want to get into just a little bit with buying. Like there's a lot of talk, especially I feel like since the market I guess is so crazy. I don't know, like people have been talking about, oh, if you have the money, why not just buy in New York instead of renting?
And I like really promote my rentals, but I work with a lot of first time home buyers. But in my opinion, I don't like posting about the purchasing experience because I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to who is my client because it's like this is going to be really like their home.
Yeah.
So I really try to keep it like under wraps, but I work with a ton of buyers. I think any time is a good time to buy if you're really connected to the right real estate agent, the right mortgage lender, and you have like a good amount of savings, because an apartment could be $1 million, but you might only have to put 10% down.
Interesting.
And then you pay off your mortgage and your common charges and taxes every month. And that's like almost the same amount as rent. So you're putting a lot of money down at first, but like each month you're really basically paying rent, but you're making equity like on your home.
So that's kind of the argument, I guess, with people. It's like, why not buy? Because you could be paying the same amount.
Because it is a lot of money. And of course, it's a lot of money to put down our age. And really, unless you're making millions of dollars a year, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, it's really tough.
Yeah, like what would you say? I mean, obviously the price range is so different, but like the lowest amount you could buy for, like,
well, then
how
it's
much
like you mostly would be able to buy in a co-op because they're a lot less expensive.
And how much would you need to make a year to like for?
It really depends. I would say like you at least have to have like 500,000, like as like, or even you can even do it for less. That's like what a mortgage lender does with you. That's not really what I do with you. Because a mortgage lender really tells you basically what you have in the bank and how much you should mortgage to then like be able to live your life, but also buy a home. Like that's not my specialty. My specialty is after the mortgage lender figures out like how much you can spend, making sure you get it at the lowest price possible. Yeah.
What would your advice be just to someone who is starting out with looking and they're not really sure where to start and they're looking
for purchasing?
To buy?
I would say again, like connect with a real estate agent, make sure it's really someone you could trust and they have your best interest at heart. Like really make sure you feel that like connection with them, because it's a really big purchase financially and emotionally. And, you know, just start going to open houses. Like it's fun also to just go see homes. Like if you're not doing anything on these beautiful Saturdays and Sundays, like just go on Street Easy and see what open houses are going on and walk in.
That's the most fun thing.
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
Just see what's going on. See what this neighborhood is like versus this neighborhood, or like a 1-bedroom versus a studio, or like a 2-bedroom versus this. And, you know, if it's your own home, like you could do what you want with it. You just have to get permits, which is more money. But
so for the last topic, we need to get into spilling the tea.
Oh God.
On some of the experiences you've had selling with some of like these insanely wealthy people.
Okay.
And I don't know how much you can share.
I have a few stories.
But
one of them I've shared before on Barstool, and it's just a really, really funny story.
Okay. Yeah. We need some like iconic / crazy experiences with buyers.
So I just had one super crazy one. It had nothing to do with my client. It had to do with the listing agent. And it was this old broker, and he emails me and my junior agent and my client like, okay, meet me here for lease signing in person. Like it was an in-person lease signing. Okay. We follow up. We're sitting there. I'm like, where are you? He told us the wrong place. He wouldn't admit he told us the wrong place. And then he was like, fine, I'll Uber you to the actual place. He Ubers us in there. We're signing the leases. The lease is totally wrong. Like my client at the end of it was like, thank God I used you. Like it was like the lease literally had to be like redone. And she was like, I didn't even notice that stuff that you noticed.
From this person that has been around forever.
Yeah, he's been doing this probably for like 30 years. It was crazy. Then we're sitting there and he goes, yeah, like, okay, you're all done. Like it's rented. And I go, okay, great. So we'll be taken off of Street Easy later because you said you're getting a lot of inquiries. And that's why we had to like sign leases like literally at like 9 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm not taking it down. I'm like, why are you not taking down the listing? She just signed the lease.
Right.
And he's like, oh, but this is how I get clients. He false markets his properties. So you're reaching out to an apartment that's already rented and he'll show you something else. So that's like one crazy story, and that happens a lot.
What the fuck?
Happens a lot. And then another crazy story I had was
he like said it so like matter of fact.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, and I'm like,
I'm not taking it down.
I was like, okay, so I'm reporting it.
Yeah, like
I was like, I'm fully reporting you. You just literally said you false market your apartments.
Right.
So that was one thing, and then another funny story I had was it was my first client ever.
Oh my God.
First client. She had like a really low budget, but like I was making it work, and it was my first time like showing all of this. And she's like, I only want the West Village. I'm okay with the walk up. I'm like, okay, yeah, like it's a hot summer day, but like let's go to this open house like in the West Village. Line out the door. We're waiting up the stairs of his 5th floor walk up to get to his apartment, and she just faints.
No.
It was my first, like one of my first showings
No.
ever. I'm like, what do? I just killed my client. I'm like, what did I just do? I killed my client. I don't know what to do. I like didn't have water on me, nothing. Like, I'm like, she's dead. She's dead. And then there was thankfully a nurse behind us, and she was
No
like,
way.
okay, like this is what you need to do. And like we got her out of there, and I was like, I guess this is not the
This
apartment.
is- yeah.
And so that was a crazy story.
That
and
is
then,
trauma.
oh my God. I like called my mom. I'm like, I just don't think this is for me.
Yeah,
like
you're
I
like, was
literally
that a
almost just, I
sign?
was like, I almost just killed someone. And then also, this is like again between another agent, but I had a client with a really high rental budget, like a $30,000 rental client.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was great. And the agent on the other side wouldn't work with me because of my age. She was like, I'm not negotiating or speaking with a child, and would not take me seriously. And it was a whole thing. It was months and months of me reaching out to try to like negotiate price. She wouldn't answer me. Thank God at this time I had a lead agent who basically said to her, like, we're going to report you if
Yeah.
you don't like work with her.
That's literally like,
she
is
has
that
her license-
illegal? Like,
It like is illegal. But she didn't care. And finally she like spoke to me, and we got the rent price down, and we closed like 3 months later.
That's
but it was crazy.
insane.
Yeah, that's not even like a horror story. That's like what I deal with every single day. But
that's crazy that you're
But yeah.
dealing with that. Like that people can't just look at hard work for what it is. And
I'm
look at-
constantly being rejected in this industry. No one wants to pay me. No one wants to work with me as a listing agent sometimes because they don't like that I'm young stepping in here with like real big time clients
Right.
that they don't have. I have people all the time that are like, I'm not paying you for the broker fee. Like, you know, like you didn't, and we'll say like, I really didn't do anything. And I'm like, okay. Like it's constant rejection. It's constant no's, but like, I love what I do at the end of the day, but like I really just like it goes in one ear out the other.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because how do you even deal with that? Like,
Honestly, like it's really
mentally.
made me into such a stronger person. Like I feel like I used to be so insecure about that stuff, and now I just really don't care.
yeah, and it's also not a reflection of you; it's a reflection of the other person.
And
That's-
yeah, and also like I've been rejected so many times, but I keep following up, and like now I'm working with like a developer. But like I have been getting no's like too
That's
for the last 2
crazy.
years, and now finally they're like, okay, like we'll give you a chance, and I'm like, yes. So
Yeah,
like,
like, you-
sometimes no's turn into yeses, but like yeah, it's crazy.
one last thing. So you were talking about Billionaires Row.
Yeah.
Do you have any tea about like selling there or bringing clients there or like?
Yeah, I had a listing there last year. On
I just think
57th
it's
Street.
like, so for people that don't know, can you explain what it is?
It's basically just a like 57th Street in Manhattan. It's just the sickest buildings in the entire world.
Like,
yeah, like insane.
insane.
I had one that was my first listing ever. Actually, it was like a $16,000 rental, a $5.5 million sale. We ended up renting it, so we took it off the market for sale, and it was crazy showing there.
Yeah,
I just
like-
felt like such like a cool boss
It's
bitch.
so
like, it was
cool.
awesome. And hopefully it comes back on the market again this summer, and I can get someone in there for maybe even higher
We
now.
should do like a TikTok or something in there.
Oh my god, 100%.
I want to. Like,
Yeah.
can we go there and
Yeah,
like,
the owners
tour
love
some
me,
places?
so, yeah.
Okay.
I got
I
them-
like need to.
Yeah, and like also that's the other thing. Like I work with a lot of tenants, but I also work with a lot of owners, and I know how to also like keep the price up, like at asking price for them. So a lot of these like condo owners reach out to me to list their apartments because I also get them good prices back.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I always
Crazy.
say have someone represent you, because whoever that agent is, they're representing their own guy. Mm-hmm. Like they don't care. Like they care about you, but like they don't really care about you.
No,
you
they
know?
don't. Okay. Tell everyone, like where they can find you on social and just like in general if they want to inquire about like renting or buying.
So Instagram, my personal Instagram is Amanda C. Baum. But I just started my team Instagram with Alexi and Sophia. You'll see them more too. They're so much fun. We're such a fun team. Work with us. And we're the Amanda Baum team on Instagram. And then on TikTok, I'm Amanda Baum _ real estate. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yay.
Thank you so much
Oh my-
for
thanks for having
coming on,
me.
for giving everyone all the knowledge that they needed, because I know that this is such a hot topic and
Yeah.
living in New York, and it's such a struggle. So
Yeah.
you're doing the Lord's work.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Real with CW and on TikTok at Real with Carly Weinstein. And we love you, and we'll see you in the next episode.
What a wonderful world.